Hey there. Tonight is I think it's April 15th. And it is exactly 1 month before my 35th birthday, and I wanted to do a podcast tonight, and I reached out for some topics, and I wrote down 10 things uh as I count down to 35. So I probably will do a couple things across Instagram, maybe some tweets, maybe a couple more podcasts on what I've learned, the lessons as I approach 35, the last month of, before I reach my personal new year. I have some cool things planned, which is really crazy because I typically never celebrate my birthday. It's never really been a big thing for me. But I'm kind of looking forward to it this year. It's kind of important. 35, I didn't even know that in order to run for president, you have to be 35. So now I can run. I'm kidding. I can't. I'm not interested. I could. Number one is that I've learned that it takes effort to be happy. And I think that that is discounted so often. And so often we think that we should just be happy because, something will happen to you, your car breaks down. People are like, you should be happy because you have a car, or just you should be happy because you came that way, or you just should be. And I have to tell you that that's not the case. And if that's what you've been banking on and you're not happy, that's probably why. Happy just doesn't happen. It is something that when you have to focus on your happiness, every morning when I wake up, I say my prayers, thank you, and then I think about how I'm going to have a good day. I focus on my happiness. I make sure that it's a priority, so much so, and I can't remember if I told this story or not, but there was a time when a person sort of gave me a backhanded compliment. You know how people do that. Tell you something, but in a nicey kind of way. And it's just like, if you really felt like talking trash, then just say that. I actually would have more respect for you if you did that. But instead, you want to be backhanded. And before, I was, now that I'm approaching 35, before I would allow those backhanded compliments to affect me, they would affect things moving forward. And so now I'm kind of just like, it's what I let go versus what I address. There's a lot of silly things that you just have to let go. But when somebody offends you, there is nothing wrong with tactfully and respectfully saying, number one, I don't receive that. So if you call me fat, ugly, whatever that doesn't fit to what I know that I believe about myself, the first thing I tell someone on spot is that, number one, I don't receive that. Number two, you don't want me to like myself for whatever reason. Perhaps it's because you don't like yourself, but I get the feeling that you don't want me to like myself, and I have to tell you that I am working so hard to not allow anybody to affect my happiness that, number one, I can't receive what you're saying, and number two, don't ever talk to me like that again. And it's really just that simple. And so that's effort. You have to do things. You can't just let people dump on you, and you can't just ignore things. You have to work to be happy, because it stops people from doing that. And one thing that I just wrote down is that um, a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, when I started therapy, I remember when I sat down and I was talking to my therapist, and I was just like, here I am. I'm about to spend God knows how much money working on myself. What about all the other people that have affected me, that have, I'm not going to say cause, but the people who have had an effect on me to the point that I am now sitting here? What about them? Why aren't they doing anything about themselves? And the lesson that I now understand as I approach 35 is that when I focus solely on myself, and focusing on myself and being a better person, and working on my responses, working on what I know to be true about myself, working on my personal worth, working on valuing my own time, working on being the brightest light that I can be, everyone around me changed naturally. So I didn't even have to focus on, you know, past relationships and past damage that have been done, because once I changed, everybody else changed. You don't respond. I don't respond to things the same anymore. Not from my family, not to my friends. I don't acknowledge certain things anymore. I'm just in a different place. So I learned that. Number two, number two, I had not settling doesn't make you crazy, but then I scratched that out and I put never settling doesn't make you crazy. Why can't I have the best if I'm going to be the best? I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. So I'm not afraid to walk away from something that doesn't serve me in a way that I feel like I deserve to be served. And that's up to you to make that decision. And you're going to have to do that hard work to walk away from the average and the mediocre and people giving you, or someone giving you, what you don't deserve. You can call me crazy if you want to, but I feel like I've gotten somewhere by saying I want the absolute best. Number three, I feel better when I am in support of other women. I've always supported other women, but it is super important to me now to support other women because I feel like we really need each other. And I think that with all the insert any kind of hip hop, basketball, football, wives, and all of the things that are placed on us to sort of divide, it is so important that we are conscious about, multiplying and sticking together and growing together, because we need each other. Everything right now is designed to keep us fighting. We don't need to be fighting each other. Like we love each other. We need each other. We're important to each other. We have a different set of generational trauma and experiences that only we know about. So it's important that we work together. Number four, my health, my physical health is as important as my mental health, and vice versa. The same amount of time that I'm spending on my body, even if it's just physical, I exercise. I remember my therapist this week, she's like, well, you like to exercise. And I'm like, I don't like exercising. I exercise because it's important to do so. Just like anything else, if you are smart and you want to work hard and you want to stay up late and you want to grind and you want to do everything, your body needs you. Like, it's not even an option. You can't do it if you don't put in the time on that body. And that's, health and diet and your mental. Your mental is so important. I was just like, your mind is the foundation on which your body lives. Your mind is holding you up versus your body holding you up. What you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, and what you believe about others will affect your outside. So unhealthy mind, unhealthy body. Number five, no is a complete sentence. I've said it time and time again, and I had this really great lesson with my own lesson just this week. Someone asked me to do something that I just really couldn't do, didn't want to do, didn't have time to do, but felt obligated to do because I knew that I could do it. That's the thing, is that even in a crunch, I know that I can pull something off, but I'm like, if I do it, it may not be my best work. It's not going to be fulfilling to me. It's not going to make me happy. Remember when I said it takes effort to be happy? I'm like making my happiness a priority. This is going to make me unhappy. So I type out my response and I say no, right? I reply no. Then I write two more sentences of excuses or valid excuses, but why I could, why I didn't believe I couldn't. And you know what? I sat there, had a moment with myself, highlighted, copied, cut. No, that's enough. And I just said that to myself because that's enough. No. Number six, it's okay to be my own biggest fan. There's nothing wrong with me being a fan of myself because, sometimes you got to be your own cheerleader and champion. You're not going to always get the praise that you feel like you deserve, but if you can pat yourself on the back sometimes, and if you can lift yourself up and just remind yourself how special you are, how awesome you are, how be good to you, it's okay to do that. Some people, I think we were raised to like not give ourselves too much glory. Oh, you're bragging, you're this, you're that. A lot of people put themselves down before they prop themselves up. Screw all of that. F that. Like, If you did good and you had a good day, boast. I had a great day. I did my personal best. If you did better than you've ever done before, tell other people, because you never know who you're going to inspire by saying, I had a personal best today. You know what I mean? Like, I have lately, my personal best, which you probably don't care about, is that I used to wake up at between 3:30 and 4:30 for the last probably 3 or 4 years. I would say probably close to 4 years without fail. And for the last, I would say 3 weeks, maybe even 4. Why am I getting all misty eyed? I have been waking up at 6:30, and I know that that's like, oh, to some people that's like what, still early, but for me that feels like peace. That's it's very personal, because when you are getting up that early, yes, you're grinding, yes, you're this, but it's like you got a lot of shit on your mind. It's why you can't sleep. And it's like you're just up, and it's uncomfortable. It's not something that I've consistently wanted to do. I understand the benefits of doing it, but some of it was just that some people would ask me how I do it, and it's like I don't know how to not. This is just what my body does, and so for the last couple weeks, I have been getting up since I came back from Europe. Been getting up at like 6:30. So it's been nice. And every time I roll over and I look at the clock and see it's 6:30, I'm like, joy rising, personal best. I did it. I slept to a normal hour. Go me. Number 7, I don't have to know everything or anything close to it. You know what I mean? That's that's why I'm growing and I'm learning. I don't know everything. And I tell people, I think sometimes people expect for me to know everything because I know a lot about some things or I know a lot about one thing or whatever. But, I'm very comfortable and confident in not knowing. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. Tell me. I don't know. And that's how you have to feel too. It's like, don't be embarrassed that you don't know. If it's something that I should know because it takes looking it up, or I always tell there are certain things that I just can't focus on. I can't, I was getting this training from this girl from this company for this new system software we're using, whatever. And I can't focus with somebody teaching me by words. Like, you can't train me over the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to drive me crazy. I did that with our customer service software. I don't even do it because I'm just like, 10, 15 minutes in, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to waste your time. I can't even do this. So I'm going to either have to teach myself, or you're going to send me a guidebook, but I can't. We're not going to get anywhere doing this. Number 8, traveling ignites something inexplicable in me. Before I used to do like the international travel and even some of the local travel, I used to do a lot of staycations. It would be nothing for me to pack up an overnight bag and go stay at the Intercontinental or stay at a really nice hotel or the W or something, even if it wasn't all that nice. There was just something about getting out of my surroundings and going to a place where I didn't know anyone, or everything's just new and different and puts me in this environment. I like challenges. I like being new. I like being forced to use my interpersonal skills to connect with people for no other reason than we're in the same space. And I think that it has sharpened me professionally. I can speak about just about anything because I have met so many people who have been kind enough to share their stories with me and kind enough to share their space with me. And I I don't even know what it is, but I love to travel, and I can now do it at the rate that I would like to. And I just encourage you to start doing it, to start with the staycation. If you can't afford, start with what you can do. If it's one night in a hotel, do one night. Go have dinner, sit by yourself, go have a friend meet you. Have a friend meet you and then stay that night. Take that and scale that up to 2 nights somewhere else. You should have stayed at every fabulous hotel in your city so far. Then you drive out 30 minutes or an hour Friday when you get off work. You stay one night. Then you stay 2. Drive out 2, 3 hours. Then you fly an hour. And you just keep going. And I'm telling you that every time you do that, it's gonna grow you to the point that you can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you can go further and further and further because of what those small trips are gonna give you. So when people always say start somewhere, or like one pebble like the ripple, it's a snowball effect. And so you'll start doing what it takes to go further because you're like, I've got to do this. You'll start making life decisions that will allow you the flexibility to do that. Number 9, oh my God, I wrote so messy. My purpose has always been here, but my platform has just put more of an exclamation on what I'm able to do. And Pharrell said that last night when I watched my Oprah Prime on DVR on my DVR, and it's like I've always been this kind of person. I've always been positive. I've always been hardworking. I've always been I joke that like I am my mother's child. My mother gives consistent, unsolicited advice, and so I am the same way. I always say take what you need, leave the rest on the floor. But this is what I like doing. I always wished. I remember after I graduated college and the handful of women of color that I knew, they just didn't do anything for me. I'm like, here I am. I'm a college graduate. I had a bunch of really dope internships too. My resume was really good. And I like would reach out to some friends of my mom. I remember my neighbor, her cousin worked at Fox, handed her my resume, nothing. And it was just like, this other girl, when I finally got the job that I thought was cool, I was inappropriately dressed for a meeting, dressed way too down. I didn't know any better. And the other black girl that was in the meeting, instead of coming up to me and kind of addressing me about what I had on and how it was inappropriate, and she went and told my boss on me, which I just was like, you could have told me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have to go tell on me. You could have just told me, because everybody doesn't know. I didn't know. I grew up in Inglewood. I didn't know. I thought, oh, it would be fine if I wore this because we worked in entertainment. Everybody wears jeans, but I didn't know. So that stuff is really important to me. And number 10, which I really, really love, is that sometimes the most thorough and consistent love challenges us. And it's hard to recognize this love because it's tough. But understand that it's still love. And it may be the tough love, may be the most important love for wherever you are in your life. And so if you really are looking to make some changes or you need a breakthrough, you need to start asking the people around you, like, I need you to be brutally honest with me. I cannot afford to have smoke blown up my ass anymore. It's not working. Please always be honest. If I'm out of line, tell me. If I don't look right, tell me. If I say something inappropriate, tell me. I have to know because my life depends on it. So seek tough love. Hopefully I get to do some more stuff, and I hope you like that because I actually did. Have a good night.